Hello, whistleblowers everywhere. So today's tune is a very popular session tune. It's a tune called the Lilting Banshee. It's often paired with another few jigs. It's usually played as part of a set. I know that I play it in a number of different sets, so it's not just stuck to one set. I know it comes up in a number of different pairings, but it's a great session tune and it's a lovely jig. So as usual, what we're going to do is we're going to just play it through, no ornamentation apart from cuts and taps to separate. So what we've got, and a good way to practice it before we actually play through the tune, is just have a look at some of those cuts that we're going to use. So the first one, we're going to separate E, A, and then separate the second A with a cut. So in the first measure it goes. So maybe practice doing those A cuts. Or you can cut with this finger. So the next one we're going to do is we've got a B and then we've got three E's. So we're going to go. So we've got the note and then the E, cut the second E, then tap the third. So we're going to just practice this. B, E, cut the second E, tap the third E. Again. And those figures repeat quite often. Now in the B part, we've got three A's. So we're going from E to high A in the upper register. And again, we're going to go E, A, cut the second, tap the third. And try and get your cuts and your taps just as you're bouncing your finger on there, yeah, on to get that. You don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear the notes that we're cutting and tapping with. We want to hear the rhythm. And so that figure again and the E. And those figures recur quite a lot throughout this piece. So that's how we're going to get note separation on the notes which are the same. We're not going to add any more cuts than that to start with. So here is the Lilting Banshee. I'm going to play it at 60, and so I'm counting it in two dotted quarter notes or two dotted crotchets. So here we go, the Lilting Banshee. So here's my click at 60. 1, 2, 1, 2. So with this tune, we're playing through each part twice. It's A, A, B, B. And again, we're keeping tonguing to a minimum. We want to work on finger articulation. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the cuts and the taps to separate the notes which are the same. So if we look at breathing, we've got the first part, which is at 60. So I can take a breath there, then the next phrase. I can quite comfortably get to that G on the second bar, on the second line, and then finish it out. So let's have a go at the breathing. So there, I'm breathing after the long G and not having to shoehorn a breath in and be in danger of somehow displacing the tempo. Okay, so let's have a look again. We'll go really slowly and we'll do the first line. So here we go. 1, 2. So that was done in 2 long breaths. I tongued the first note of the phrase, and then when I took a breath, I tongued the next note of the next phrase. Take a breath. Then repeat. So see if you can do that all in the 2 breaths and then breathe after the end of that dotted quarter note or dotted crotchet at the end of the second line. Let's do that at 60. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's the A part. So what we can do, we can add a few cuts to that and maybe a short roll or even a long roll in, at the end. So let's have a look at what we can do with that briefly. We're not going to do too much with this. So I'm just going to put a little tap on that G and I'm going to cut the first B in the second bar. So when you're playing this up to speed, you won't need to breathe as much, and so you can do more in the way of ornamentation. So if I was to play this at more of a jig speed, so I only really needed to take a breath on that G. So the first G in the second bar, we can do that little. Now if you want, you can turn that into a full. You can turn that into a full short roll, but it's awkward because we're coming down from the B to the G, so we have to stop the note and tongue the cut tap. So it's easy just to put the tap. So for now, that's all we're going to do. We're not going to do too much. We'll come back and have a look at some variation, which there's lots you can do with this tune. But before we do that, let's go on and have a look at the second half. So let's start on line 3, and we've got that figure. That one we did right at the beginning. We've got the A, E, A, cut the second A, tap the third A, G, E. So again. And again, you can short roll. Or you can just tap. And then we've got that repeating E figure again. So what I like to do at the end of the third line, you've got G, F sharp, G. So I like to put a couple of cuts in there. So I'd cut the G, the first G, and then cut the second G. So it's going. And again, you can use this finger, middle finger, or this finger to cut the G. Very little difference with the outcome because we're not hearing the note we're cutting with, we're just hearing the rhythm. So I'll play the whole of the third line. Gives it a nice bit of a drive, that. Yeah, I quite like that. It's adding a little bit of slight syncopation to it. Yeah, because we're not expecting that cut on the last G. Yeah, we can go. So you can just add the one cut on the G, which is a bit more predictable. But if we want to live more on the edge, we can cut both G's. So, last line now, so we've got the same figure. E, A, cut the second A, tap the third A, G, E. And again, you might want to take a breath there, so you could just maybe just cut the G. And then and the last two bars, same E figure again. And if you want, you can add a long roll. Or what you could do is even do a little break in that and just do a short roll. In fact, I'd be more inclined to do that so I can get a breath. Cut tap, yeah? And then just leave a little rest at the end there so you can go and repeat the whole of that B section again. Right, so let's try it all the way through at 60. B part. 1, 2. So the last line. So if you need to take a breath there, it's all right to pause it. Okay, there you go, that's the B part. Right, so now that we've got some cuts and a couple of short rolls or taps, let's try the whole thing at 60 and then we'll go and have a look at some variation. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's AABB with the cuts and the short rolls that we have added to that. Okay, let's go on and have a look at how we can add a little bit of variation. Again, I'm not going to go too crazy with this. Loads you can do, but let's keep it fairly sort of simple. Just add maybe a few little variations. So here are some variations that I like to do on this piece. Again, we're not going to do loads, we're just going to do a few. So the first 2 bars. So I keep the first bar the same. I like long roll the B and then long roll the G. So I'm going like this. Now, if you want to get really snazzy, what I like to do again is what's called a double tap long roll on the G. So that is note, tap, cut, tap. And it goes a different rhythm. So it goes note, cut, tap, cut, tap. And that gives us da 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 da. It's known as a flute roll as well, but I call them a double tap long roll. Now if you want to get fancy, you can either do it as a normal long roll on the G or a double tap. So I'll do it first with a normal and then second with a double tap. Now with a double tap. So you can hear the difference between the normal regular long roll and the double tap long roll. It's a nice variation that I like to put in from time to time. So on the 3rd bar, so again, maybe put a long roll on the B. And again, you can do that double tap. So I'm turning this into or and then, so let's do the whole of the first line with the variation. And again. Sounds great when you speed it up. just a normal roll. So the next line. Now what I like to do sometimes is go from the E above and change it. So rather than going from the E below. So what I can do, or do them both. Or, again, lots of choices. You can do the first one high, the second one low. Or the first one low, second one high. So we got options. The other thing that I can do on that is to do a double long roll. Yeah. Or long roll on the E, long roll on the A. So I'm throwing loads of variations at you here. Again, just pick out ones that you might like. So let's recap on that because there's a lot we've covered in a very short space of time. So the variation on the first and second bar on the second line, sorry, is I'll show you the different options. So you got or, or you can go so there in the second bar I did a long roll on the B and a long roll on the G. Now if you want to get really fancy you can long roll the E, long roll the A, long roll the B and long roll the G. So you're turning basically you're doing 4 long rolls and it sounds a bit like this. And again, if you want to get uber fancy, you can do a double tap roll on the E and double tap roll on the G. So lots of different ideas for you. Try and think of some of your own if you want. Again, instead of a double tap, you can do a long cran on the E. So that's some ideas of some variation on the A part. Let's just run through a few of those. Now if you want, you can substitute that for the long rolls that we talked about on the B section. I'm going to play it through now with that variation in the second half of the A part. Sorry. You could even go. Which is rolling pretty much everything in sight. Maybe a bit overkill, but again, you know, if you like it, there's no reason why you can't use it. So let's have a look at the B part now for variation. So we've got third line. So there I'm putting in long roll on the E. Then I'm going to short roll the A and then play the E at the end. So it's going to go. So. And again, if you feel adventurous, you can try the double tap roll on the E. Or just the normal long roll. Or if you want, you can just, again, turn that into 2 long rolls. Again, it's your choice. If you like it, you can adapt it. I like to put crayons on that, on the... But a double tap roll on the E, same rhythm, just different way of achieving it. So what I like to do is a variation. Again, we're putting lots of rolls in here. I think I said we're not going to do too much in the way of variation here, so I've done the exact opposite. I'm afraid I've bombarded you with lots of variations, but yeah, you can get carried away with yourself. But again, there's just some ideas. You don't have to use any of them. You can play exactly as written. It's still a great tune. However, I will continue throwing some variations at you and long rolling whatever we can. So there on bars 3 and 4 of the B part, third line, what we've got written. So what I can do, again, we can use double tap or just to say normal. So. Or if we want again, be out on the edge a bit. Use that double tap roll, which is note, tap, cut, tap. So now you can double tap roll any of the long rolls you like. I find it awkward, so it's a lot of work for me to get a double tap on the top hand here, so I tend to just not bother with that and just use it for the bottom hand. But you can, and there's many fine players who use double tap rolls, long rolls on both hands and can do it really well, but I just not put the time and effort into that. Maybe one day when I have some time, I'll try and get the double tap roll on the top hand as well, but for now I just limit it to the bottom. So let's have a look at that whole line again. Or just with normal rolls. And again, we can add some rolls. Or we can go. There I did a long roll on the E and a short roll on the A. And then short roll on the B. So what's written? Variation. Or we could go long roll. So there, the rolls are coming fast and furious. Again, use them to taste or don't use them at all. So to finish off, let's try it at 60. I'll play it through the first time as written, second time I'm going to add some variations. So I'm going to play each part twice. So it's going to be A, A, B, B, as written, and AABB with some variation thrown in. And yeah, see if you like it. 2, 1, 2. So there you have it. That's with some variation. Again, try things out yourself. Experiment. Have a go at doing different things yourself. Okay, so just before I go, I'd just like to ask you all if you found this useful, helpful, or informative in any way. You could subscribe to the Whistleblowers YouTube channel, hit subscribe, share it out amongst your whistling friends, or any friends for that matter. Even your whistling enemies, if you have such a thing. Yeah, so if you could share it out amongst people who you might think would find it useful, then please do. It's always lovely to have you along with these tune breakdowns. Lots more to come, lots more tutorials to come, lots more tune breakdowns to come. I think the next one I'm going to do is probably going to be a reel, or it could be a slip jig, but one or the other. However, I may be totally wrong with that. However, we will see. Right, so that's it, folks. I'm going to leave you with the Lilting Banshee, the way that kind of I play it from time to time. Here we go.